When Marquez shoots you a message that you have to react to a video, I'm all over it. Let's check out how Mr. Who's the Boss did on his 90-day body transformation. Huge thank you to Odoo for sponsoring this video. Let's get started. Beep-whoop.
Last week, I got the greatest message ever.
You get to adopt 6 more newfies without having the work to take care of them?
Do you want to play in the Sidemen charity football match?
That's pretty cool. I would like to play in the Sidemen charity match. KSI, you've been on the show. Come on, baby, get me in.
My favorite sport to play in the largest stadium in the country with the biggest online audience of any charity sports.
And I grew up an Arsenal fan. Thierry Henry, ooh.
And millions raised for great causes. Oh my God, yes. The only issue is I look like this. This is my current body.
First of all, we have to move away from judging someone's performance level or fitness level simply based on the way they look. I hate to use anecdotes as examples for rules. This isn't necessarily a rule. But have you seen Tyson Fury's body when he beats up on Jack Diesel dudes?
And this is about how good I am at football.
That's the problem. That's the bigger problem right there.
Now I just need to completely transform my weight, my health, and my football skills before April 18th.
How many days is that? Do we know? 90 days. In 90 days, you could make some meaningful improvements to cardiometabolic fitness. Are your football skills gonna greatly improve? And look at me saying football instead of soccer. Should I say footy?
Oh dear.
I just got a full body DEXA scan done, which is pretty crazy because it shows you in crystal clear detail how much of you is lean muscle.
Okay, so this is where non-medical people talking about medical subjects gets a little bit wonky. This isn't a crystal clear image. I wish it was crystal clear. There are so many variables that impact, for example, your lean mass. Many people assume this lean mass number represents muscle mass. And while a part of that, a good part of that is your muscle mass, it's also glycogen, hydration, inflammation, things that can vary test to test, which is why a lot of these tests are not recommended to be done over the course of a week to week, because there are variations. There is a standard of error.
And I'm not in love with the report that came with that, because it confirms the obvious that I do have slightly too much fat.
I've never heard this fat mass index. I would love to see percentages instead, but this clearly is some validated range from the body composition DEXA scan. Also, important to note, DEXA scan, while it is a low amount of radiation, there is still an amount of radiation similar to an X-ray. So something to take into consideration why we don't recommend it for pregnant patients.
It's saying over here that I'm 64th out of an average 100 people, but it's also made me realize that I have way too much visceral fat.
Yeah, so this visceral fat calculation is also interested, and notice I say calculation because this is usually done by software estimation, not actual clear visual representation. Visceral fat is a problem because this is the type of fat that lives on your organs, not the subcutaneous fat that lives underneath your skin that you see on the outside of your body. When we see the correlations of those who have high amount of visceral fat, they tend to have poorer outcomes, meaning higher risks of cardiometabolic disease, diabetes, heart attack, strokes, etc.
The good news, though, is losing extra weight is pretty much as simple as this equation. Calories taken in through food and drink, so for me right now, this is 2,500 a day, minus the calories I burn.
Calories in, calories out, while oversimplified, is a good baseline for understanding of how our bodies lose and gain weight. Now, why I say baseline? Because there are other variables. There are hormonal processes. There are processes that impact your metabolism, how many calories you burn just by being alive in a given day, the thermic effect of food for your body to digest certain nutrients. So there are other factors, but when you want to simplify it, to just get the basics going, calories in, calories out is a fair place to start.
So that's both what my body burns naturally, just by being alive, 1,800, and any extra that I'm able to shed by moving around and exercising, a meager 400 right now.
And I wonder how accurate these numbers are, because getting your baseline caloric burn calories does change depending on your body weight. So as you lose or gain weight, that number can change. So the human body is very interesting in how it thinks about self-survival, because the human body is trained to survive, not starve, not burn fat, but to create storage in case you meet a situation where you don't have access to food.
I'm eating more than I'm using, so my body is storing that excess mostly as fat. So to up the number of calories burned, my desk chair is gone. It's replaced by two things. This wellness ball that I bought from Techno Gym.
I don't like this. It's not that I don't like the tool from Techno Gym, the ball. I just wouldn't recommend someone try and burn calories in this way. It's usually A, not necessary, and B, can actually harm your ability to lose weight. Bear with me here. The reason why I say that is because in order to lose weight successfully in the long term, even in a 90-day cycle, you want to be focused on continuity. So your ability to show up day in, day out for your exercise, for your nutrition, and what can happen when you overuse core muscles, especially when you're going from 0 to 100 real quick, you can hurt stabilizing muscles, core body muscles, so much so that you aren't able to perform exercises in the gym and therefore are falling off your trajectory of maximizing your gains.
Then the best under-desk elliptical that I've ever used, the QB Go.
Is this an ad for all of these products? Because if it is, that's master level marketing. Props on that. I actually want to know the brand of the socks more than I want to know the QB thing.
The most important tool in my entire arsenal is the incline walk. Walking at an incline on a treadmill honestly feels like a hack. It burns calories shockingly fast.
It's not a hack. I wish it was a hack. I mean, I guess it's your definition of what a hack is. Walking on a treadmill on an incline certainly can get your heart rate up. And for some who, let's say, haven't been training for a long period of time and are unable to go for a light jog or a slow run, walking on an incline can provide that level of intensity with creating potentially some soreness, especially in the hamstrings, in the calves, in the shin bones. So you have to be quite careful with, again, going from 0 to 100 on such a high level of an incline.
And finally, but most importantly, I also got to reduce how many calories I take in.
That's actually the most important thing to take into consideration when it comes to losing weight. You could only burn so much with exercise. And our bodies, especially when not accustomed to exercising, cannot burn high amounts of calories to offset an unhealthy or extremely high caloric dense diet. I actually did a short about this. Some people didn't like it, but I thought it was a good visual representation of how long you have to be on a treadmill in order to burn some specific foods. That is why we talk about weight loss as primarily driven by nutrition, like 70% of it driven by nutrition. And again, in order to play in a soccer game, it's not really about weight loss, it's about fitness. So you gotta be careful about not driving your calories too low and then increasing energy expenditure too high, because that can create a mismatch and create injury, illness. Literally, you could get sick from losing weight too quickly. And I mean sick like hurt your immune system and get an upper respiratory infection.
Last year was the first time that I started consistently snoring in my sleep, pretty badly. And weight gain is one of the most common explanations for that.
That is one of the factors, absolutely. Snoring on its own is not a medical diagnosis, it's more of a symptom, even though I guess you could find an ICD-10 diagnosis code for it. I would be more concerned about sleep apnea, and if there were periods where he's apneic, not breathing, therefore not going through the full stages of sleep, not getting that deep, restful, restorative sleep.
All leading to an average sleep score last month of 76 out of 100.
And you know how I feel about these sleep scores. I think that if you got a poor night's sleep, you know it. It's not a shock to anyone. You wake up, you feel tired, you're dragging. When you wake up and feel great, and then your sleep score says it wasn't great, that can only hurt you. So I don't know the actual value of these sleep trackers outside of maybe some very intense experimentation. I think they only serve to fuel more anxiety. And now there's a whole body of evidence happening around this where we created a condition called orthosomnia, where people actually hurt their ability to sleep and have so much anxiety because of these sleep trackers.
So here's the game plan to get that number up. First, 3 gadgets. And to be honest, each one of these is a bit of a wild card. First is the Woodger mat, which you place onto your bed, and it's meant to use vibration in a way that stimulates circulation and relaxation.
Oh, that doesn't seem nice at all. Who wants to sleep on a washing machine?
They say this is absolutely transformational to how restful your sleep is.
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sound, does it sound restful to you, Sam?
No.
The Elamind headband, which is the first to be clinically shown to fix the other side of the sleep equation, helping people fall asleep faster using precise acoustic stimulation.
There's a lot of these gadgets on the market, and I need to really dive into the research behind them. There are some that work, especially when it comes to stimulating certain nerves, the vestibular nerves, in order to help people become sleepy, but they don't work very quickly. They're imperfect, especially these that work with EEG brain signals and create acoustic stimulation. I think if you need a tool to fall asleep, there needs to be a visit or a discussion with a doctor as to figuring out the reason why that's happening, as opposed to solving it with one of these gadgets.
I found these glasses online by a company called Luminet, and they blast you with light, like the literal opposite of sunglasses. Ooh. It's surprisingly out of your way. Like, I very much feel like I can carry on doing what I'm doing.
Bro, no you can't. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna just carry about your day with this thing on your head.
It's actually a pretty well-established thing that one way to fix your sleep cycle is to focus on exposing yourself to lots of light early in the morning.
Oh my God, go outside. We've reached a new level of tech gadget where now instead of going outside or just opening the window, we need to have artificial light blast us. Back to the video in just a second, but first I want to tell you about Odoo, a business management software with a full suite of integrated apps. It allows you to bring every element of managing your business into a single platform. They've got apps for accounting, integrated CRM, manufacturing, point of sale, you name it. As you may have noticed from the items listed for sale down below, I have an e-commerce business selling merch. And if you have a business like mine, you'd love Odoo. They have apps from everything from real-time inventory tracking to scheduling, production planning. It's so great having every tool you need all in one place. Their interface is super customizable and real user-friendly, making it easy to move around between different apps, improving efficiency, no matter what kind of business you're in. And get this, your first app is free for life. From there, you can pick and choose which apps you truly need. I love not having to pay for a bloated package of products you'll never actually use. So click the link in my description to get started with a free 14-day trial, or even request a demo of Odoo and level up your business. All right, let's get back to the body transformation.
So one thing, if you're not getting completely optimal sleep, I would recommend you do is just see a doctor.
Oh, thank you. That was nice. We got a little shout out in there.
I found one who's a specialist in everything I suffer with.
Oh, a little fiber optic scope into the nose to check out the vocal cords, the oropharynx.
He stuck his big, long camera up my nose and immediately found inflammation because I have like 17 allergies. So he's given me a spray to take that down.
Azolastine probably, maybe a little intranasal steroid. Azolastine is an antihistamine. Flonase is the typical nasal steroid that we give people.
And then also from a blood test, he found that I have a pretty significant iron deficiency.
Oh, interesting.
He's saying is the most likely cause for all the restlessness that I get.
So restless leg syndrome, one of the things we need to check is iron, but in a person of this age, not knowing any other medical history or family history, I would be extremely concerned learning that you have an iron deficiency anemia. Because one of the reasons people develop iron deficiency anemia is because of bleeding. So there has to be a very thorough evaluation where you're losing blood. Sometimes it could be in your stool due to, obviously I'm thinking extreme cases like a colon cancer diagnosis, but it needs to be tested because there could be microscopic small amounts that are being lost and not being found. So I never would just diagnose a person of this age with iron deficiency anemia without a workup to figure out why that exists.
I got a wedge pillow. My dad, who's almost definitely at this point where I inherit my snoring genes from, he swears by this. He carries one of these everywhere he goes because it lifts the entire upper half of your body.
That's also really good for individuals who struggle with reflux symptoms because it allows the acid to stay down in your stomach as opposed to coming up at night, where people frequently have a lot of symptoms. And he did mention he has allergies. Sometimes when you lay flat, people will have postnasal drip where it actually drips onto the back of their throat, creating irritation, swelling, mucus, coughing at night, and that keeps people up as well. This helps battle that as well.
Now, the best way to measure fitness is something called a VO2 max test.
Well, no. VO2 max is one of the best variables that measures your aerobic fitness, but there are so many other variables to fitness that a VO2 max doesn't measure. Think about strength, think about coordination, anaerobic fitness. So VO2 max is part of that equation, and it's one of the most important variables when we think about controlling for cardiometabolic survival. So like decreasing the odds of having a heart attack or stroke and then surviving a heart attack and stroke. But what we're talking about a VO2 max improvement in is going from a really poor number to a moderate number, not going from a moderate number to some ultra high, ultra marathon number. That's not where the majority of health gains lie. Fitness influencers out there need to be careful of how they talk about these VO2 maxes.
VO2 max is actually pretty widely considered to be one of the best indicators for how long you're going to live. So you can imagine I wasn't ecstatic to find myself firmly in the fair category.
That's not exactly true. This has been overstated. What you should be aiming for with a VO2 max is just a good number. And I really push people away from looking at the variables on their wearables when it comes to VO2 max. They're also imperfect. They're not a metabolic lab value because you need a metabolic lab to actually get this number. And again, you're looking for good, maybe excellent. You don't need to get into that superior range to get the good health outcomes. It's comparing the very bad to the good, where you get the best outcomes.
There's two things that can specifically help to address this though. One is interval training, so bursts of sprinting with quick breaks in between. I say as I've just taken a seat. It's not just a way to get more calories, because interval training, it trains your heart to actually get more oxygen to your muscles, and it trains your muscles to be able to use that oxygen better.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of described all exercise, but yes, interval training does work well for improving VO2 max. It's not the only way. Focusing on zone 2 cardio is valuable, but again, it's not a complete picture of one's fitness. You still need to take into consideration mobility, balance, coordination, sport-specific skills, strength. So it's about building a good foundation with zone 2 training, trying to get that ceiling higher with these interval trainings, and then focusing on all the other variables of fitness in between.
The second thing though, is this guy, the AeroFit.
Oh, I love this.
This is something you keep around your mouth and it basically makes it harder to breathe.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to use it in this way. There are specific exercises that they give you with this device that you can do to train your lungs and teach you to breathe the correct way using diaphragmatic breathing. I think it's a pretty cool tool. And remember, VO2 max is not just about taking more air in. It's about getting air in, air into your blood, how much your blood can deliver, and then the muscle and tissue can use.
I've searched for years for the perfect water bottle, and I think I found it, because I've also been treating myself by emptying one of these electrolyte sachets in there.
Okay, so that is quite controversial.
They make the taste much less boring, and they're quite clean. The only sweetener is a bit of stevia.
You gotta be careful with a lot of these electrolyte powders. Most people are not exercising or sweating enough to lose enough electrolyte to warrant a 1,000 milligram bomb of sodium. And some of these companies, like LMNT, have statements on their websites, or at least have had statements on their websites, that are not in line with modern medical societies and modern medical knowledge about sodium. Especially here in the United States, we overconsume sodium like crazy. And especially my patients that have heart disease, congestive heart failure, they oftentimes end up in the ER from this overconsumption of sodium. So you need to be very, very mindful of how you consume these electrolytes. Very easy to overdo it.
When I started this challenge at 84.6 kg, one thing became immediately obvious to me. Losing weight the way that I'd originally planned is miserable.
Exercising while brushing your teeth, this is such a gimmick. Like, if you feel that you need to do this, you're doing something wrong. Exercise when it's time to exercise. Rest when it's time to rest. Work when it's time to work. When you start creating this through line of constantly burning calories and creating this obsession, that's what drives unhealthy relationships with food, with diet, with weight, with muscle. And we don't want that to happen. The idea of creating a healthy body is one that is sustainable, one that is enjoyable to your lifestyle, but also maximizing healthiness. When you're constantly just thinking about burning calories, that is not necessarily a healthy mindset. Weight is just a number that needs to be factored in to the totality of who you are as a human. That is called holistic medical practice.
So with just a few tiny habit adjustments like this, combined with about an hour of proper focused exercise a day,
That's great. I'd love to see that. Good form too.
Sometimes weight training too, because it was super important to me when cutting to not lose muscle. I have been every single day, I would say easily hitting over 1,000 calories burned.
And a lot of these overestimate how many calories you're actually burning. In fact, most of them are inaccurate. Studies have confirmed this.
The Woodger mat. I forgot to mention the fairly important detail that this is what it sounds like to the confused wife trying to sleep next to you. To be fair, it is an amazing experience for the user. It just didn't help my sleep.
Shocker.
The Luminette glasses were better.
There is no way you'd be able to rate whether they work. You're changing 20 variables in your life, drastically changing your lifestyle, and then are trying to rate whether or not, it's not like you could say if they're like you're not talking about their comfort, you're talking about their overall impact on sleep, and sleep is impacted by dozens of factors. There's no way you can give it a score at this point with this level of testing.
It's just, I never felt that wake up translate to a better sleep like the things promised it would. So B tier.
It shouldn't be B, it should be unrateable because there's no way you can give an honest score on those.
Here's what really helped. 1, losing weight.
How do you know you did all the things at once?
I need to calm down. Everything's fine. I'm an adult.
This is why elimination diets need to be so carefully monitored by a doctor. You don't just eliminate 30 foods and go, oh, I'm better, so I'm not gonna eat these 30 foods. You either A, eliminate one at a time and see how that impacts your symptoms, or you remove multiple items and then gradually reintroduce until you have that symptom recur. Science.
Science rules.
This wedge pillow I tried at the start did also help, but I see this as a temporary solution because it's just so damn uncomfortable.
Another easy way of not using the wedge pillow is just putting like a 6-inch piece of wood underneath the foot of your bed on both sides, obviously. Gets that same principle of having you a little bit more upright, but without the cocked sensation of your body being forward.
This is 400 calories in strawberries. There are a lot of foods, like nuts, for example, that I think it's fair to say are generally considered healthy, but that are actually ridiculously high calorie. If I were to make my entire diet just supposedly healthy dried fruit and nuts like this, then this would be the entire amount of food I could have in a day.
Well, I would never put someone training for a soccer match on 1,800 calorie diet. It's just ridiculous. You need to build muscle. You need to rebuild the damage that you're doing to your body, especially when you're training for something as an undertrained individual. I think that was probably too much of a caloric restriction for what his goals were at the time.
But it was really when I combined that concept with another concept, intermittent fasting, that the weight loss went way beyond what I even thought was possible. So I've been having my last bite of food at around 6 p.m. each evening for the whole journey. But then for the second half, I've also delayed my first bite of food the next day until 12 p.m. lunchtime. So all of my eating happens within these 6 hours.
So intermittent fasting is interesting because it can help people lose weight, and he's claiming that it helped him a lot. I have success with it. I eat in a smaller window as well. But it's not because intermittent fasting has any sort of miraculous benefits like some of their proponents talk about. The real benefit and where you get your weight loss and the health benefits come from the fact that you have a shorter eating window, therefore you are less likely to consume calories. If I can only eat during an 8-hour window as opposed to a 16-hour window, suddenly there is less chance for me to eat more food just because of that time.
Intermittent fasting means that as soon as you can eat pretty much anything and stay in a calorie deficit.
Bro, you just showed those nuts. No, you cannot just eat anything. You eat that bowl of nuts, you're done for the day. You can now no longer eat. But yes, it would be quite filling and satiating to eat those nuts, but you'd still be hungry after 7 hours.
I spent a lot of time over the last few months kicking balls through cones, rain or shine. But let's be honest, mostly rain. I've had blisters, lots of blisters.
Yeah, soccer does give you a ton of blisters. The back of my heel when I played soccer in high school was brutal.
And also a leg injury. I basically took so many shots at goal one training session that I tore my main shooting muscle.
Shocking when you're eating at such a caloric restriction, sitting on a ball, just doing way too many activities and not getting enough rest. Remember, you need to exercise, but then you also need to recover. And recover is not just about time off from playing sports, but also re-energizing your body with the correct nutrients that it needs to heal.
I did the scan again. It was pretty good. So in 3 months, we've come down from 21% body fat to 13.2. So we've gone from average all the way past fit and straight to athletic. And then for the visceral fat around my organs, while I was 79th out of an average 100 people at the start, I'm now 15th.
It's great that he's getting such great results, and you can actually see the results on his body. The only issue I have here is it possible for him to stay consistent with this? Because these need to be lifestyle changes, not changes made for a 90-day program and then forgotten, in order to maximize all these health benefits that we're discussing. And it's great that he did this challenge. It's always cool to challenge yourself.
I did a VO2 max test at the start, which came out as fair. And so I was actually pretty taken aback by the fact that when I just redid that test, I've managed to move all the way from fair past good and straight into excellent.
So is 90 days enough to transform your body? Turns out the answer is hell yeah.
Also depends on what your body was when you started and what your goals are. And are you doing it in a healthy way? Again, I strive that important level of not yo-yo dieting and yo-yo exercising, because that's not great for the body. Are energy drinks as bad for you as they say? Click here to find out, and as always, stay happy and healthy.